Hello everyone, it's your girl Beauty87 here, and today we're going to get into ranking all my Juvia's Place palettes. So I got all the palettes sitting over here for the most part. I forgot and left the mini ones on the bed, so I'll go grab those in a second. But I'm going to start off with all the bigger ones. So I got, I think, 16 of these, and I got 5 of the small ones. I have in total 21 Juvia's Place palettes, and I have decluttered some, mind you. So the fact that I still have 21 after I've decluttered some says a lot about my love of Juvia's Place, I'm assuming. Even though I did put them in that video where it was like, it was palettes I buy and never use, because I definitely don't use these nearly as much as I do other things, and I need to get better at that. So I'm trying for, you know, to use up my collection a little bit more without boring y'all to death with 5 million palette matchups. So I'm trying to figure out life with that. But anyway, let's get started with these palettes. So like I said, there are 21, but there are only 16 big ones, and the other 5 are the small ones. So number 16, which is the one I would use the least, and I feel like it shouldn't come as a surprise when you see what the color story is in this palette, is the Nubian 3 Coral. So needless to say, we know who reaching for this. Why? The only time I reach for this is like these 3 shades up here. I'm not really into these corally warm tones. We all know I'm a cool tone girl, so these are the only things that attract me to the inside of this palette. Otherwise, this palette isn't really anything special to me. And the only reason I bought this was to compare it to the Coral palette by Natasha Denona, if I remember correctly. And I decluttered that, and I've been trying to declutter this, but nobody's been buying it off my Macari, so that's why I still have it here to show you, because otherwise I wouldn't plan on having this. So I might just keep it in my collection for reference and leave it here in my grandmother's house, just so I can have some Juvia's Place palettes when I do reviews. But this is dead last on my list, so that is number 16, just because I don't really like the color story. It has nothing to do with the formula, but if I'm only going to use 3 shades out the palette, I think it costs $15, $20, and I want to be able to use more than that. So the next palette, number 15, is nothing against this creator, because I actually like her content and her whole like persona and all that, but I just don't really ever reach for this palette because it's supposed to be face and highlighter and then like eyes too. But I will forever keep it just because it has our son's name in it. And the palette is the Queen palette from Fumi and Juvia's Place. I actually want to grab her little mini palette, even though I just watched Karen Harris's video, and I think she said the blues were difficult to blend for her, if I remember correctly. But I will forever keep this palette, if nothing else, because she named the shade after our son, Adrian. If you all didn't know, Fumi has a son. His name is Adrian. You all know Adriangameover. So my son's name, Adrian. So just for that reason alone, and this shade alone, I will always keep this palette. But I don't ever reach for this palette, to be perfectly honest. And when I do, I usually just use like this, and maybe like this one right here. I don't really have anything creative to do with it. I mean, it's good if I need a one color look, and it's supposed to be an all over face palette, so I guess I could use it a bit more. It's just not something I think about or reach for. But in all fairness, like I just said, I don't ever reach for my Juvia's Place palettes that much, so it has nothing to do with Fumi. It's just, it's other brands I reach for more. So that was number 15. So number 14 is the original Saharan palette, because there's, I think, like 2, or there might be 3 Saharan palettes. Last time I checked, there were 2 though. So the color story of this to me is just weird. And with a lot of Juvia's Place palettes, sometimes the color story is just weird, and I'm like, what the fuck do I do with this? I don't know. It's just weird. So with this one, it's like, I feel like this color story is weird, and that's why I don't necessarily rock with it like that. But I do like the palette. As you can see, I have some a couple little dips and stuff. Like, of course, I love this shade, and I love this shade, and I think I used to like this one right here, and maybe this red over here. But I haven't used a lot of the shades in here just because I don't necessarily know how to go about doing a look for this palette, because I feel like it's just kind of scattered in random colors, and I like a more defined color story, if you will, which I think is another reason I don't reach for Juvia's Place palettes. But this is number 14. Let's get into 13, and it's the sister palette to that palette. So it's the Saharan 2 palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. And I bought this one over buying the Aries palette from the Natasha Denona that one year it came out, because I was like, I don't want to spend $100 on 2 baby palettes, because I remember correctly those are like $48, $49, and I was like, I'm not spending that on a palette when Juvia's Place got the same palette for like $19.50, I think this was at the time, or something like that. So I'm like, but I don't reach for this one either, so I guess I should be glad I didn't buy the Natasha Denona one, because then I'd have been mad I got 5 shades for like $50 and I never used them. I did use the Joya palette a lot though, but this one I just don't ever really reach for. Again, it's like the color story. What am I supposed to do with this? Like, it has these dark mattes down here, but then it's like I don't want to necessarily use these shimmers, and then again it's more warm toned, and I'm more a cool tone person. So I was buying these palettes so early on when I started using makeup, because I wasn't that great with eyeshadow. I still sometimes am not that great with eyeshadow, so I was like, I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on a palette and then not necessarily like it. But now I've been finding myself more when it comes to eyeshadow. I know that I don't really like warm tone palettes. I prefer cool tone palettes, which is why this doesn't get that much use out of me. So the next one I have, so that was number, what is that? So we got 16, 15, 14, 13. So this is 12. So number 12 is the Zulu palette. Now I decluttered this and got it back just because I was like, I feel like it would pair well with the Warrior 3 palette from Juvia's Place. That's the really colorful one. But I decluttered it and then I bought it again during a sale. I think it was like $7 or something. So I was like, okay, I'll try it again now. With this one, it's just more of, I feel like the brown is just really random. I mean, I know it's supposed to go with these and this is most likely supposed to go with these. So I see the color story of this one. It's just more of, it's not necessarily a super exciting color story to me. And I know that's shocking because it has my blue and greenish blues and then like my purple or whatever. But I don't know. This palette's just never super exciting to me. So it's just kind of like, oh, okay. It's cute, but I just don't ever reach for it. It's other ones I like better, clearly, or else we wouldn't keep counting it. Now, believe it or not, this one is higher than I figure you all would expect it to be, because I'm always talking crap about how I don't really like this palette because all the damn plastic colors. This is the Wahala palette. So, this is what it looks like on the inside. I think I've done like 2 or 3 looks for this. I did one on Instagram, I did one for YouTube, and then I think I've done 4, because then I did a palette mashup with this in the Juvia's Place Wahala palette that you'll see in the future. But yeah, again, I just don't like this because of all the damn pressed glitters, and I feel like I don't exactly, I mean, I know you're supposed to use each row for the colors, but it's like, I'm not going to use this row. I didn't like this shade in the palette, and it's just not a color story that I'm going to most likely reach for as a general rule. So I was like, I don't feel the need to, I wasn't even going to get this, but it was limited edition, and then if I had known Wahala 2 was coming out, I definitely would have bought this, because Wahala 2 is like 1,000,000 times better, than just as a hint for you. So this is a dual chrome and this is a dual chrome. So I do like those in here, and I like some of the mattes in here. It's just overall I don't feel like it's cohesive, and the fact that there's so many goddamn pressed glitters in here pisses me off. As you all, I'm sure, are fully aware. Death to pressed glitters. So we got a nice little stack. So now we're on to, I guess after this one I show you, then we'll be on to the top 5 palettes. So this is number 6. This is the Douce palette from Juvia's Place. Now, if I remember correctly, I heard they discontinued this one, which I'm kind of sad about, because I thought this was weird color story, but for some reason I can make this weird ass color story work, and I can't usually make their color stories work. So I was like, okay, sounds good to me. But this one is I don't know, to me it's just like, to me a little like pastel-y and like more brown girl friendly version of what Viseart was trying to do with the dessert, since it's a Douce palette and it's giving you more of those pastel-y vibes, but these are ones that actually work on brown skin. But since this is owned by a black woman, obviously she know which pastel-y type tones will work better on brown skin tones. So I feel like this is what I wanted the Juvia's Place holiday mini palettes to be like, as far as like the pinks and like these deeper tones that it didn't give to me, but which was fine because I already had it in my collection and just, you know, didn't truly see it until somebody made the comparison on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, that does make sense. This is like the black girl friendly version of the Viseart palettes that I tried for y'all earlier that just didn't work out for me. So this is number 6, and it's not to say that I don't like it as much as I like the top 5. It's just, you know, I had to make a top 5 because that's how you rank the stuff, and these are the ones that as you'll see, knowing my makeup taste, if you follow this channel regularly, for obvious reasons, are my personal favorite Juvia's Place palette. Okay, y'all, so the camera cut off in the middle of me talking, and I don't know where it cut off, so I'm going to just start off with the top 5 again, and hopefully, you know, that's where it cut off, because I honestly don't know. Okay, so number 5 is the Masquerade from Juvia's Place. The reason this is number 5 for me is just because I don't like the way the color story is set up. So, and you'll see in the other palettes that I like better why I don't like this one as much. But yeah, so it has all these warm tones at the bottom and then all the colorful tones at the top. It's like my eyes are drawn to the top. It's like then I look down toward the palette and it's like I'm excited looking at the top, like, oh yeah, totally, it's got all these colors. And then I look down and it's like, oh, all this boring shit. Like I don't want any of what's going on down here at all. It's like I wish you had just gave me like a deeper purple like the shimmer is, and like maybe a deeper blue to go with some of this up here, like you did the pink to go with this pink. But it's like I feel like I don't reach for or really like this palette as much as another one I'm going to show you, just because of that. So if they had flipped it, I think I'd like it a little bit better. But then again, I don't know, because I'm not a warm tone person, so I think that's why I'm just not really vibing with this palette as much as the other one I'm going to show you. But that's why Masquerade is number 5. So number 4 is the Warrior number 2. Now remember I told y'all I felt like this and the Zulu palette would complement each other, which is why I bought the Zulu palette again, and I'm about to show you why. So look at the inside of this one. I love the color story of this one. I like these shimmers down here. Now mind you, they don't give you that many shimmers in here, but I feel like it goes great with the Zulu palette for this reason. See the colors in them? Like, I feel like the colors are balance each other out pretty nicely. Plus, there's some more shimmers in here that aren't in here, and I feel like they'll just give you a nice gradient of variety of looks if you put both of these together. So I repurchased this to put with this one, and I am happy I did because I think they will complement each other quite nicely. So this one is number 4. Then I have number 3, which I figure you'll be shocked is number 3, because this is the Tribe palette. So I like this palette a whole lot, but there are some I just like a little bit more, and y'all know I love my greens. I love this mustardy like brown shade right here. I think this is so nice in this palette. Sorry, y'all. Then I have this darkening shade right here that you put in the outer V, along with these shades right here. So it's like you can put this on your outer V, you can dust this in your crease, or you can dust one of these in your crease, or you can have a nice little matte look. And I like the fact that these shimmers have like gold green glitters in them, and then this one I feel like shifts, because when I'm looking at right here it looks purple. When we look at it head on, it's like that it's like the color Throne from Prism. Is just a little bit darker. So I really like this palette as a whole, but there are a couple of palettes I like a little better than it, obviously, or else it wouldn't be number 3. But I think it's a gorgeous palette overall. I heard they're trying to discontinue it, or they have discontinued it. So if you can find your way to find it, you need to definitely go ahead and grab it. I don't know why they would discontinue that, because like green palettes are like a really popular thing, but I don't know if it's not popular with them, and that's why people don't haven't bought it, and that's why they're getting rid of it, because I heard they got rid of that and the Douce one. I don't know, but anyway, number 2 for me is the Magic Mini palette. Now this is the palette I was talking about going against the Juvia's Place Masquerade, and now you'll see why. See, they put the warm tones on the top in this one, then the cool tones on the bottom along, and I like the way of this layout and this color story better. Although I feel like the Masquerade Mini would complement this one pretty nicely, because you can use all the colorful shades at the top with some of these deeper mattes down here to deepen up your look, since they don't have any in this palette. So I feel like these would be good complementary palettes as well. I think they have them in a bundle too, so I think even they know it's a good complementary palette. And then if you want to do more neutral tones and you feel like there aren't enough mattes in here, like again, I can use this shade. I can use everything else though, but if I wanted like deeper mattes or just more warm tone mattes, I could reach into this palette and just use the shimmers out of this one. So they're good complementary palettes to each other. It's just if I have a preference and I can choose, obviously I would choose Magic, because that's why Magic is number 2. So let's get into number 1. Number 1 is, believe it or not, the Wahala 2 palette. So if you know anything about me and you know what color stories I like, you'll know why this palette is number 1 to me. So this is what it looks like on the inside. Y'all know I love my blues, my purples, and my greens. And what we got? Green, blue, and purple. Yes, honey. Now, the downside about this palette is all these goddamn pressed glitters. I hate these pressed glitters. I don't know why they don't understand. We don't want these pressed glitters. We didn't ask for these pressed glitters. We keep telling you and Care of Beauty and ColourPop to stop putting these pressed glitters in palettes. So why did you think it was okay to put like 4 pressed glitters in this palette? Like, I don't want them. But since there's enough shades to offset the fact that there are 4 pressed glitters, that's why it got to be at the top. Not to mention, just the color story of this is really aesthetically pleasing to me, and I absolutely love it. So I'm here for it. It's a vibe. Yes, I want it. It's gorgeous. So this is, oh, let me show you in comparison to the original one. So this is what the original one is, and this is the new one. So they changed the pan sizes as well, and they gave you more in this palette than they did in this palette, but I don't know if it's the same amount of product in them. No, this has 1.25 and this has 1.6. I guess because they had to spread them out and they made the pans smaller to fit more product in, because you can see the palettes are just about the same size. But this one has a little bit more product than this one, but that's because it's less pans, I'm assuming. But yeah, so those are my rankings of the big ones. Now let's get into the small ones. The small ones shouldn't be that hard, just because, you know, there aren't that many to choose from, so it's easy to me. So number 5 is going to be the berries. If you know anything about me, you know berries tones are not really my thing. This is a nice little sequin shade that I don't like, and then this one is a satin. So these two right here are already on my bad list, just because I don't like satins and I don't like sequin shades. The rest of the palette is okay, but it's like I prefer having more than one shimmer. I like the half shimmer, half matte ratio when they do like 3-on-3 in these palettes. So this palette for me, I'm just not that excited about. I mean, it goes with my lips, and it's not the formula's bad or anything. It's just color story preferences. So this is number 5 for me, just because out of all the color stories they have, that's my least favorite. Believe it or not, this number 4 is the mauves from Juvia Place. So I know you're probably like, why is this so low when you're obsessed with mauves? I know, it's weird, right? But I don't know. I feel like the mauves in here just don't express the mauviness that I like in the palette. Not to mention this one shimmer is like a topper, so it's like you have to do all, sorry, or is this supposed to be a shimmer too? I think this is a satin and then this is a topper, so I wasn't feeling the fact that the two shades in here are formulas I'm not necessarily fond of. I don't mind the topper as long as it's like a good shimmery shade and you just add a little extra balance on. But the fact that this is a satin and then you trying to give me a topper and then that's it, I didn't like that whole situation. And these aren't necessarily mauve tones that I'm super excited about. Like I felt like this one looked kind of ashy and I just wasn't feeling the tones of these types of mauves. Like, you know, and since I am a mauve queen, the fact that I'm not feeling the mauves in it is why it's so low. So that was number 4. Number 3 is the Sweet Pinks, believe it or not. Just as far as the ranks goes, y'all know I did not like this shade here at all. I thought it was terrible. I don't know what's going on with this shade, because again, when I tried the Juicy Boost from Colored Rain, this shade for them was terrible as well. Like, this is just a bad shade for people to make apparently, because it wasn't good. I think I liked this one and this one from what I remember, and I really like this shade and this shade. Like, I put this shade all over the lid if I remember correctly. It was really nice and pretty. So I like the mattes in here. I'm just not that crazy about some of the shimmers in here, but overall I can do a nice pink matte look and then pull like a single of a shimmery pink if I need to. So that's why that one's higher up as opposed to the other one. So number 2 is the Nubian Royal palette, and the only reason this one is lower than the other one I have is because of this damn pressed glitter. It's like I only get 6 shades and then you insist on putting the glitter in here. Like, you couldn't leave the glitters alone with the bigger palettes. You had to put it in the baby palette too. And then, like, I think this shade didn't work that well for me. This shade reminds me of that special shade with the new formula in the Pat McGrath Risque Rose Quad. But I don't have it here with me to swatch, or else I would. But that's what this shade definitely reminds me. I need to remember to do that on Instagram and see if like the color of them is the same. I'm sure the formula isn't going to be the same, but I figure at least the color could be the same. I don't know. Anyway, this is what that's why this palette is number 2. This purple here is everything. Like, I would buy this palette just for this purple because I love this purple that much. It's a really unique undertone, I feel like, that I don't see in a lot of purple palettes, because hella purple palettes came out this year, but it's still 2020, y'all. I'm filming this on New Year's Eve. But this purple right here, yes, I would buy this whole palette just for this purple and like this shimmery shade right here, because I like those two that much. I could just put this in the crease all over the lid and then just pop this in the inner corner. To me, that would just be the excellent look. So this palette is number 2 for me, just because this was the year of purple palettes and that was one of my favorites, and I felt like that was definitely a hit for Juvia's place because of that unique tone. Okay, I just dropped some stuff. Moving on. The last one I have is the Violet. So the Violet is number 1 for me. This is just a gorgeous color story to me. I feel like they did a great job with this one. However, some of the shimmery shades in here I don't like as well. But the purple matte that they did choose, I feel like would greatly complement the Royals palette, which is why, you know, I put them like back to back, if you will. Because I feel like they did a great job with their purple palettes this year. I can use this one, and then I can go in here and use this lighter one, or use this darker one, and then use one of these shimmers. Like, I could use this in the crease and then put like this all over the lid to have a little lilac special thing, and then dust this over the top and have a nice little look. So it's like, I feel like both these would pair together quite nicely, and that is why they are number 2 and number 1. So I have finally got done ranking all these goddamn Juvia's Place palettes. I just dropped these Prime Beauty palette powders I just bought. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, y'all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one.